Hi, I'm Hegmo. This month's Ambuscade is a very easy one with a lot of viable options to knock the fight out, so I figured I'd create a quick video to show my approach to the fight so that perhaps you can pick up some easy hallmarks this month. The fight is fairly forgiving with a few different strategies that people are using, including a double puppet master strategy, tank strategies, etc. But we're doing a very simple double DD plus Red Mage Zerg strategy, as Red Mage essentially trivializes the encounter entirely. Here's a quick overview of the fight. Volume 1, very difficult, puts you up against 4 goblins. A Bazzetto Dawn, which can cast Chainspell, Ancient Magic, and periodically summons a Bomber, which will do AoE damage to the party. A Bazzetto Incanter, a Black Mage Goblin that will cast AoE spells and occasionally erase debuffs from the Dawn. A Bazzetto Ravager, a warrior goblin that can use mighty strikes. A Bazzetto Deathbringer, a Dark Knight goblin that can blood weapon and apply dread spikes. The gimmick to this fight is that the Dawn, Ravager, and Deathbringer must be separated at all times, or they gain a powerful aura which makes them significantly stronger. There are a number of ways to keep the necessary goblins separated. As I mentioned earlier, some people are using puppet masters with automaton tanks to grab the 2 side DDs, but the strat that we're using is having a red mage simply bind both the Ravager and the Deathbringer, and then take each of the goblins out one by one. Here's a quick breakdown of our party for our strategy. Most importantly, we have a red mage casting haste and phalanx on the party, and then a decent magic accuracy set to be able to bind the Ravager and the Deathbringer. This can be done at max range without even starting the fight. We'll talk about that in a second. Additionally, the red mage can silence the Dawn and join the fight with Savage Blades or Black Halo. We have a white mage for healing. There's a significant amount of AoE damage at the beginning of the fight, but it's generally fairly manageable. Corsair doing Samurai and Chaos rolls, then joining the Zerg with Savage Blades. A Bard doing Honor March, Minuet 5, and Minuet 4, along with Aria Passion or Magical or whatever you want to fit into that 4th song slot. Then joining the Zerg with Savage Blade, and then 2 heavy DDs of your choice. These can essentially be anything with high damage output. We're using a Dark and a Warrior in these example videos, but you could use a Dragoon, a Monk, a Samurai, a Blue Mage, literally anything that has high output on the damage front. On a perfect pull, our red mage pops Saboteur and Spontaneity, then binds either the Ravager or the Deathbringer at max range. If you position this properly, you won't aggro the rest of the goblins, as you can cast this outside of the aggro range and it doesn't initiate combat. You can then backtrack around the edge of the arena and bind the other side goblin and start the fight by pulling the Dawn and Incanter to the starting area. At this point, the 3 aura goblins, the Dawn, the Ravager, and the Deathbringer, should be sufficiently separated, and you can simply start the Zerg on the Dawn. If you notice that the Dawn still has the blue aura up, just continue to pull them apart until that aura drops. As a side note, at this point, the Incanter can be slept. Horde Lullaby from a Bard works fairly well and rarely gets resisted, and the Dawn can be silenced. We were killing fast enough that neither of these felt really necessary, but if you're dying to Chainspell or combine casts from both of these enemies at the same time along with a bomb, these debuffs may help mitigate some of that damage. The Dawn will periodically summon a Bomber, which will do AoE damage focused on your healer, most likely. This should not be enough to kill the entire party if you're stacked together, and if you have enough damage output, you should just be able to basically ignore this mechanic and heal through it. If you're experiencing trouble with this Bomber mechanic, your white mage can stand away from the group with re-raise up and basically sack the bomb when it comes out. Your white mage will die, the rest of the party will live and continue to Zerg, and you just continually recast re-raise in case you get killed again. But again, we didn't have to use this strategy, as we were basically able to just heal through the damage, and we usually only saw 1 or maybe 2 bombers in total. Again, the Incanter can be slept, but it does wake up frequently. I think it might wake up when the bomber comes out, and if again you're moving a little bit slower, you can re-sleep. but generally its casts are not too much of an issue. Continue to wail on the Dawn until it's dead, and then you can swap to the Incanter and burn it down even more quickly. The Incanter seems to have a very low HP pool, so killing it should happen fairly quickly. Once the Incanter's down, proceed to either the Ravager or the Deathbringer. If you're killing fast enough and your Red Mage enfeebling duration is high enough, they should stay bound through the entire fight. But if they do become unbound, just reapply and reposition, or have the DDs split, essentially taking one of the goblins to one corner and the other goblin to another corner, and split the party up and fight them separately. As long as they're at least 20 alms apart, you shouldn't have an issue with the aura coming back up. However, if your damage output is high enough and your bind duration is high enough, you should be able to zerg through and kill them before the bind even wears. And that's the entire fight. Easy hallmarks. One problem area that we frequently encountered was poor red mage positioning on the initial bind. If you do get aggro on the first bind, the easiest thing to do is to allow the 3 remaining goblins to come to the starting area and then bind the other DD goblin there at the start. Then have your damage dealers provoke or grab aggro on the Dawn and essentially just pull it to the opposite side of the arena. This will again separate them and the aura will fall off, and then you just continue the fight as normal. This requires slightly more positioning, but ultimately isn't a massive loss in efficiency. Our group even eventually just started pulling like this as a default because our red mage was having trouble discerning the proper distance. So we just started pulling them apart, letting them come to this beginning, and then bind the Ravager at the start, and then pulling the Dawn off to the side, and it works just fine. The key item is also a fairly easy one to pick up with a few different options. I personally like the home point directly to Newton Mavopolis. There are several moblins here that count for the objective right by the home point, and you can just run down the hallway, and there should be several more packs of them stacked up together. The home point is super convenient to get to and from Mahora, and it makes this fight very quick to repeat and pick up a lot of hallmarks quickly. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, consider a like and a sub to the channel. I've been trying to do weekly Final Fantasy XI videos, and I appreciate the support. If you're using another strategy that you think works better than ours, let us know down in the comments. We'd love to hear it. And then lastly, I stream Final Fantasy XI over at twitch.tv/Hegmo. If you have questions or want to see us grind out this ambuscade and other content live, drop in and say hello and let us know in real time. Aside from that, until next time, goodbye. Ah, it's hot.